Canada, eh?
Hey everyone, it's the Canadian Card Collector here, and today I am bringing you a monthly recap of the top football cards sold on Fanatics Collect over the past month. We'll be looking at some of the trends going on and hopefully establish this as a baseline for future videos where we'll look back on the top 48 football cards each week and see if there are any developing trends going on in the football card market. I'm more interested in the types of cards sold more than the actual prices. I don't purchase cards in this price range anyway, but it's often a good indicator of what's going on in the market, and I'll be curious to see what kind of trends are set over the next several months and years. So why don't we get into the data and take a look at what happened over the past month. So to start, I just want to talk about the past 4 auctions. I hope to do this around once a month or so, and today I'm focusing on May 17th through June 7th, which are auctions 226 to 229. A few things I want to note from each auction. I looked at the top player who was featured the most, the highest and lowest sales from the top 48. Again, so this is an aggregate of the top 48 sales each week. And then what kind of cards were sold from what era. I think the football market is a bit immature and a lot of people focus on the modern to ultra modern, post Brady specifically. And I wanted to see how many cards were features from the 90s and before. Out of the 192 cards over the past 4 auctions, only 12 of those cards were from 2000 and before, and only 10 of them were from the 90s. And then I also want to look at defensive players. The market is so quarterback heavy and so offensive heavy. There was only 5 total cards from the top 192 that were defensive players. So that's another interesting item I want to look at. Now let's take a look at some of the cards featured over the past month. Starting from the weekly auction number 226, this was actually the only auction out of the 4 where Tom Brady wasn't featured the most. This was actually Patrick Mahomes. He was featured 12 times out of the top 48. And more so than focusing on each individual card, I just wanted to take a look at some of these cards that sold. As you can see, the first Brady featured here was a 1 out of 1 from 2020. There's actually no defensive players featured in this auction. Here's a couple cool cards. Joe Burrow, this one is out of 25, but I want to focus more on this 1999 Stadium Club co-signers, Jerry Rice and Randy Moss autos. Another Randy Moss card. Moss is one of the few stars from the 90s that gets any sort of hobby love. I feel like that is an important note to see if any of these other 90s stars get any more love in the future. Again, Barry Sanders here featured, and then Jerry Rice capping off all the pre-2000s cards, I believe, here. As you can see, if we scroll up quickly, I don't think there was any other cards prior to the 2000s here. So that just gives you an idea of how quickly these run out. At the $5,000 level, there's nothing higher. And that is a market trend that I'm really looking at to see if there's any cards coming up from pre-2000 that will start getting a little bit more action on Fanatics. As you'll see, there's your typical kabooms and, Patrick Mahomes rookies, for example. But there's not a ton of variety when it comes to years. This Montana Brady here is pretty cool. It's a lot in the 2010s and 2020s. The 2000s itself was a kind of barren wasteland, if you will, for football card market. There's downtown Tom Brady here. A bunch of kabooms, as you could guess. This one is really interesting. This Topps Chrome Black Refractor by Tom Brady at a $5.99. His first Topps Chrome card. Topps in general did not make any Tom Brady rookies, so these 2002 cards are really sought after. Even though it's out of $5.99, I don't think this population is very high, so it is no surprise that it hit that high of a number. And then we have actually this Peyton Manning rookie, so I think maybe there was a 5th one from the 90s that I may have missed. However, this is the highest of the 90s cards. Even this John Elway, which you don't often see Elway cards from the 90s go for top dollar. It was a 2015 Topps Chrome Super Refractor. No surprise there because it's a 1 out of 1. Calvin Johnson here, this refractor out of 5. To me, this seems like a very low sale price. Even though it's $7,800, it's a very good indicator of how much the top players are quarterbacks. This is a BGS 9.5, a red refractor auto, arguably one of his top 3 to 5 cards that exist, and you're getting it for $7,800. I know it's a lot of money. However, the basketball equivalent would be probably in the 6 figures for a player of that importance, or maybe at least in the high 5 figures is my guess. As you can see, even Tony Romo, a 2008 patch, was sold for more than Calvin Johnson. The quarterback market just dominates football in general. Actually, one other card I missed here was the Joe Namath 1965 Topps football here in a PSA 7. So this was the one vintage from this auction. Lastly, I just wanted to look at the top 3. We have a Tom Brady here from 2000, his rookie out of 30 for $21,600. Then we have a Panini Prism Gold Cam Ward out of 10. Tell me which one you would prefer out of these 2 rookies. I think it's pretty obvious that the Brady is a better card, and it's out of 30. It's not like it's out of 2000 or something. So this is a pretty wild price for both of these cards when you consider what they have done in their careers. Top one being a Brock Purdy patch, 1 out of 1. At least this one's out of 1 out of 1. Again, I think I'd go for the Tom Brady and save myself an extra $6,000 plus. Moving on to auction number 227. This one featured more Brady cards than the last one, although we're starting off with 2 Mahomes here. Neither one of them rookies, so very interesting. We have a Brady 1 out of 1 here, and then we have a Montana Techno Bowl, which is kind of cool. This is just a CGC Authentic, but for $5,200 for the new Topps Chrome set. One of the few featured non-quarterbacks. Obviously, there's other players. However, non-quarterbacks don't get featured nearly as much as you think they would. A Rob Gronkowski PSA 10 Gold Downtown out of 10, so for $5,700. Some more Brady's here and Mahomes, and then we got a super factor of Matt Stafford as well. This is an important card here that I want to focus in on for this auction. A PSA 7 Terrell Owens PMG from 1997, so a legit PMG from the time, right next to a Brett Favre Star Rubies. So 2 very important sets from the 90s. One going for $69 and the other one for $6,600. Very curious. I know that Teapot from Sports Card Investor got a similar card. I don't remember his grade, but he paid less than this for sure. And he had a good point that the red PMGs and PMGs in general for football cards of top players are peanuts compared to NBA players. A comparable NBA player would for sure be in the high 5 figures, low 6 figures. Terrell Owens, probably one of the top 3 to 4 greatest receivers of all time. So curious to see how this appreciates over time. We got our one vintage card here of this auction, the Walter Payton rookie here for $7,200 and a PSA 9. Again, that's not too bad of a price considering the importance of the player. Then we have this random Deshaun Jackson 1 out of 1 PSA 10 Prism Pylon. I don't even know what that is. Had no idea this existed, but kind of cool. But $7,800 versus a PSA 9 Walter Payton rookie. I'm not so sure about that. We got some Jaden Daniels here, 1 out of 1 rookie card, and then the Kaiju Tom Brady in a PSA 9. We'll be curious to see how these appreciate over time or depreciate. And then a couple 90s in this row with a 2020 Donruss Downtown Tom Brady. You could get a rookie 1 out of 1 Peyton Manning for $10,000 here, which is kind of mind-blowing considering the importance he had over the last several decades in football. Again, I think this shows a real underappreciation for football cards in general. And we have a Pinnacle Certified Platinum Gold Barry Sanders out of 30 in a PSA 10 for $9,900 here. A great set there. And then at the top, we have 3 quarterbacks or 3 quarterback cards, 2 Brady's and 1 Drake May, 1 out of 1 for Prism Deca rookie. Interesting how it's the old GOAT versus the up-and-coming Pats GOAT for many people. Then we have auction 228, and Brady is featured 21 times out of the top 48, which is pretty impressive. Almost half the cards here are going to be Brady's. We're not going to focus on all of them. And there are 2 pre-2000s cards only here with 1 defensive player featured. So we will take a quick look. As you can see, it's basically Brady and Mahomes to start. More Brady's. The first non-Brady or Mahomes is actually Peyton Manning. And then we get into some non-quarterback cards. We get a essential credentials from Randy Moss, which is awesome. And then back to more Brady's. I get Bo Jackson here, kaboom. As you can see, not many cards here before 2000 as per usual. Again, lots of Mahomes as well. Very Mahomes and Brady heavy. This card I used to own, not in a PSA 10, but it's a great looking card. This one for $6,900. This one I was looking at just out of curiosity. I had never heard of this card, this Playoff Momentum X's. Tom Brady out of 199 and a BGS 9 sold for $7,200. If you think about all the important cards there are, this seems like a good deal. Again, some Mahomes and Peyton Manning up here. More Brady's and Mahomes. And then we get into our few 90s cards here. A Topps Gold label, 1 out of 1, PSA 8 for Barry Sanders. Pretty amazing. Not many 1 out of 1s from the 90s, especially from Barry Sanders, who many consider the GOAT. Some more Brady's here. And then we actually have this interesting Montana Rice auto from 2000. Our 1 defensive player here is Clay Matthews, a random 2012 Prism Finite PSA 10. I find that pretty interesting that of all the players, this would go for $12,600. Clay Matthews, a solid player, but will probably be not remembered as one of the top linebackers by any means from his generation or any others. So very interesting for that sale. Finally, some more Brady's. Believe it or not, 3 quarterbacks at the top, but some of these are absolutely amazing prices. Jaden Daniels, 5 out of 5 gold vinyl, okay. But the number 2 card from this sale was Shedeur Sanders Gold Prism at PSA 10 for $22,000. That is quite a risk to take on, but good luck to someone who paid that. The top sale was the Tom Brady 22 Optic Super Bowl Downtown out of 25 in a PSA 10. There's actually 6 of these in a PSA 10, so it's pretty interesting. These are $50K each. I don't know. I love the Downtowns, but would I prefer this card over, let's say, a rookie out of 199 for 43,000 less? I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Last auction is the latest one, number 229. Brady featured 15 times in this one. There's actually 4 defensive players in this auction and only 1 card pre-2000s. As you see, we're kicking off with Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. 2000s Bowman Chrome and BGS 8.5, 4,400, or a 2014 Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor out of 50. I'd say I'd go for the rookie every time here. I love Brady, but a random Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor, I don't think that compares at all. Some more Color Blast and Kaboom here. And then we get our defensive player here, Michael Strahan, 1 out of 1, 2025 Prism Black Nebula. A very random card, but obviously important for the Nebula. We got a LT patch randomly here, LaDainian Tomlinson. Very cool patch auto. Some more Brady's. A Sam Darnold Kaboom Gold. And then some more Brady's. Drew Brees Black Refractor Rookie out of 100 for PSA 8. Think about some of the cards you could get. Would you prefer this or this random Panini Contenders Cracked Ice Jalen Hurts auto? Yes, this one's out of 22, but this is Drew Brees. I don't think the career trajectory is going to compare at all, although the Super Bowl numbers are the exact same, so I don't know how much people will play into that. Our 1 vintage card here, Eric Dickerson, 1984 Topps PSA 10. Another cool Brady card here, Spectrum Red from Playoff Prestige. I know that some of these college uniform cards aren't as popular for Brady in rookie year, but out of 100 and a PSA 9 for $6,300 seems like a great price. As we move up a bit, you can see more Brady rookies, another Mahomes rookie. PSA 10 starting to move up again to 6,300. We saw in the previous auction it was below 6,000. Another Mahomes rookie here. Some more Brady's as we go on. As you can see, some more defensive players. This Pat Surtain out of 3 from 2025 Topps Chrome for 10,500. I think defensive players are underappreciated, but Pat Surtain out of 3, because it's a newer product, I think is getting that huge bump. I don't know how that's going to hold up over time. We'll see. We'll see on his career trajectory for sure. Some more Brady's. This is the biggest defensive player that we've seen. 2024 Gold Kaboom Lawrence Taylor, PSA 10. This is a pop 1 out of 1. No surprise here because of that for 16.8 on this one. Some more Brady's here. A 1 out of 1 Lamar Jackson at the top with a Prism Manga Tom Brady, and then a Kaboom to cap it all off here. So what did you think of these auctions? What did you think of the video format? Let me know in the comments below. Did I miss anything important out of these cards? I really want to think about the trends that will be setting over the next year to see if some of these prices change or if the market changes at all, if there's any more focus on defensive players or pre-2000s cards as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.